Hello to all on Women Dialogues, and I'm your host Shashi with you all to create more voice for women and by women. And today's our guest is Snella Jayasuriya from Sri Lanka. She is the founder and CEO of Women Empowered Global, diverse consultant, and WEV Global Academy. So I'm so happy to have Snella on this platform, and I would like to welcome Snella to the Women Dialogues.
Thank you so much. I'm absolutely honored to be here.
Thank you, Snella. And before we start, I would like to ask you just let us start by sharing your childhood memories or some experiences those helped and shaped you the way you are today.
Wow, that's a power question to kick it off. And I'll tell you why. A lot of people might listen to that question and, they will take you through a photographic album of fun childhood memories. I remember for me, what really was instrumental in getting me to where I am today is the struggle. It was the fear. It was the not knowing who I am, my sense of purpose, direction, and identity. So for me, when I look back in hindsight, I'm thinking there is so many things from trial and error to failed relationships and neglect to a sense of rejection and a sense of oppression coupled up that really created the woman I am today and the woman I'm yet to become. Right. Because I really feel like we are in a journey of becoming where we are not ever fully complete. It's a journey of evolution. Yeah. Looking back, I'm born to a middle class family. Both my parents are professionals, academics. My mom's a lawyer. My dad's an entrepreneur. Before that, he worked in corporate. And I'm the third of four children. I have two elder siblings and one after me. And I would sort of describe my childhood as something where I always felt like the black sheep in the family, the odd one out. Because I also, to begin with, I am the biggest introvert compared to the rest of them in the flock. Oh. You would not believe it. So growing up, looking back at the little girl that I grew up with myself, that I had to deal with every day of my life all these years, for 3 decades, over 3 decades, looking back today, I'm thinking, I'm a different woman. I'm a different evolved being. I'm more confident. I have so much more passion, vision. I'm so highly driven and I'm so purpose driven. But all of this was as a result of my journey of hardship, trial and error, like I said, and it was a process. Anything in life is a process. Yeah. We like to look at the photo album and we want to see all the happy faces. But if you really pay attention, to the details, that is where you find truth and answers to success.
Yeah, the way you explain, it's true. That's not about only happy faces. It's about all the combination of all the process or incidences or movements, as you say, it's a journey. So when we are talking about it, would you like to bring some relevant memories about maybe people who had a big impact on your life? Whereas, like you mentioned yourself, you was very different in your family as so-called very introvert, but the way you are today, and you might be having some memories in relevant people who really had impacted your work, your career, your life.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because my mother was a professional and she's always been a professional ever since I can remember. She's been a working mom. Back in the days, looking at the country I come from, the country I was born in and raised in, before I had all this global exposure and got to travel and all these different things that I got into today, looking back, I was raised in a situation where I got to see my mother coming from a society that didn't really aggressively promote women, where patriarchy was so high, where she still excelled. And she was not the norm. Her career was never a traditional path. So I was raised in an environment where I got to see my mother, who was raising a family and at the same time excelling in a career. And this was back in the 80s. And this was not a very prominent precedent among women and families back in the day. So I feel that indirectly, my mother unknowingly was a massive influence, which began my journey of questioning what then is this stereotype and norm? What then is, what is this limitation that society is talking about when it comes to women thriving, women succeeding? So I would say my mother challenged that norm and status quo indirectly, unconsciously, unknowingly. From a very young age, I was exposed to that. So I would say that was the first attribute that I could say that influenced my thinking. And a second one would be that, growing up, I didn't really have hands-on mentoring. I didn't really have, we never had coaching and mentoring platforms like we did now, which is also a big part of why I initiated this global movement, Women Empower Global, is because of the lack that I had growing up. So I wanted to empower women and bring into play all these opportunities that I never got growing up. So I would say that when I broke into my teenage years, I took into reading, a lot of self-help, a lot of learning. It was a process of me asking the universe, what's my purpose there? Has to be more to a woman and womanhood than the patriarchy presents. And I wasn't even articulate, Sashi, about what the patriarchy meant. I had no idea what patriarchy was. I couldn't even pronounce it. But I felt the effects of it. I felt the limitations of it. I felt the restraints of it. And that is what sort of propelled me to get into self-help, personal development. And I took into reading. And I remember when I was 16, I was gifted this beautiful book, Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And that book, I think, more than the fact that it was a book by itself, I think it was a universe that knew I was ready to receive that book. Because I read that book and I did something about it. I loved that book to resonate with what I was looking for. And I was able to apply those principles, because a lot of the times, Sasi, I see people going around, walking around life, trying to find change, find transformation, and then opportunity presents itself. But the distinction between people who actually become and the people who are still searching is that how many of us actually move forward and take the step, take ownership to proceed, to take action. And I took action and I made progress. I started momentum.
So Senela, when you're talking about you brought a lot of these social issues, and we I believe it's not about in your particular society or culture where you are living. It's in various culture and various societies in various countries about this patriarchal system which you're talking about. So can you provide some in your early journey in your career, that like as today you are a CEO, founder of your own business, your own company, and those challenges you faced as a female when you are talking about this patriarchal system, and how you overcome it. It might be helpful for our audience who are listening and might be having the same kind of cultural system around them.
I mean, there are many incidences I can think of. One thing I must say is that I want to appreciate that when it comes to the notion of empowering women, I have many male friends who are also supporting this agenda. So when I talk about patriarchy, I'm not specifying it to gender. I'm specifying it to ideology. I'm specifying it to oppressive beliefs, which is contributed to by not one particular gender. I've had situations where, see, the conversation is not around is one gender impacting another. It's end of the day, how can we all support each other? But looking back, there have been times where it was a man or a male colleague that referred me to a new business opportunity or who believed in me. So it's not necessary to say that it's only been a woman supporting woman. But what I love that I'm seeing around the world is that as a collective society, we are more mindful about this.
Okay.
That success and progress is colorblind, it's gender blind. It's not to do with gender, but what's contributing to patriarchy. So what I would say is, compared to the West, when you look at the East, when you look at South Asia, we are relatively behind. Having said that, there are spaces where we are progressing very rapidly. Women are way more vocal now. Thank goodness for digitalization. Thank goodness for platforms like this. We can communicate, we can be free and open without having those shackles breaking us down. So that is progress, even for women like you and me from this part of the world.
Right.
But having said that, by and large, I still see how, what are we exposing our children to as early as their early childhood programming, from 0 to 9 years? What are we teaching them about gender, about culture, about humanity? What are we teaching them about portrayals of modern times, how things are evolving, diversity and inclusion? What are we teaching our young children? I think early childhood programming is still primitive when it comes to this part of the world, when it comes to educational systems, when it comes to integrating and teaching leadership and entrepreneurship to our children via school systems, is still relatively primitive and backwards to some of the other first world scenarios and situations. So when you talk about the patriarchy strategy, there are so many holistic things that need to be addressed, from education to policy, institutional level, to social fabric, social norm, stereotyping, biases, stigma. There's so many things. Right. But this whole thing I'm stressing about early childhood programming is because as parents, as adults, we have the responsibility and ability to change the future through the young ones. And it starts today. We don't have to wait for this. We have direct control of that.
Yeah. And I totally agree the way you explain it, the way beautifully you emphasized about the early foundation and their children in their childhood, how they can learn this diversity, inclusiveness, and all these systems. So you are a great influencer, you are a great speaker. And when we talk about it, how do you find when we are talking about the people around you, how you keep yourself that motivation in inspiring way about yourself, and while same time giving that the same positive influence when people are around you?
Sasi, for me, it was a process of understanding that true inspiration comes on the day we accept that we are not perfect, that we are perfectly imperfect, and that there is a lot of power in vulnerability. There is a lot of beauty in diversity. And it's about accepting with humility that, hey, I'm not anything better than what I am. This is who I am. And that I have days that are off days. I have days that I'm stressed. I have days where mentally, I feel my mental stamina is low because I've been overly exhausting myself. I've been, working really hard. And there are some days and some weeks where I just feel like, hey, you know what? I need to push pause. I need to take a break. I need to, have some me time, get more into self-care. So what I want to tell to all the people listening and watching in today is that it's not about being perfect. We live in a society that demands us to project this mask, but it doesn't vocalize the mask. Right. Society vocalizes the need for authenticity. But is society ready for true authenticity? I walk into a store, I meet a school friend from school back in the days, and if she asks me, hey, how are you? And in that moment, if I have been genuinely having a difficult day or a trying time, the challenge to us is, to what extent are we going to authentically reply and say, hey, I may be a leader, I may have achieved all these things, but today I'm tired, I'm doubting myself, I feel limited, I don't feel great. So this is what I'm talking about, balancing the paradigm, the social norms and expectations. So what I want to say is, I have taught myself
Right.
that it's okay to not be okay. And that what's powerful in those times is to have mindfulness and seek help. It could be a friend, it could be a partner. Sometimes it could be my own child that could inspire me in that moment. But it's having that sense of self-awareness and then knowing that, hey, I'm not okay, I'm not perfect. And that is a part of leadership. That is a part of the journey. And on the other side, there's always sunshine.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm involved with this beautiful global team of influencers. And just today, we were having a conversation on WhatsApp in this group about authenticity and about, you know, just this very point about, you know, when it comes to, especially with COVID, a lot of people are facing mental health issues. But mental health by itself is such a stigmatized conversation, Safi. Not a lot of people want to say, hey, I feel mentally down, or I feel, you know, tired. But that is a conversation we should rather encourage somebody to acknowledge that they are not feeling great in that moment, so that they can do something about it and step back up, rather than carry the mask and say, yes, I'm great, life is happy, life is perfect. So it's really about that authenticity. I've been keeping it real. You know, I have a lovely set of friends, near and dear. Just today, I visited my mother, and I had a lovely, soulful conversation with her, because we're living in a time where we have social media, digitalization, and everything's connected. But the challenge is, how many of us are having real connection? Connectedness and connection are different. So to answer your question more directly, I would say, build the people around you who you can replenish with real connection.
Yeah.
That's going to support you along the way.
Yeah, I think that way you explained about this mask versus the real connection, because usually as we human, we always get into this social structure so much, and we forget about ourselves, what we are, and what we are really are feeling, or what we are really having in our life. And having that social pressure or work pressure, we constantly behaving in the same way, having this masked version versus authenticity. And whereas when you are talking about how one can be authentic, and one can accept and appreciate whatever way they are, that is so important. So when we are talking all about it, many times it comes again, I would like to bring, it's about again social pressure, right? And many times it comes about your surroundings, and your the indirect pressure that you have to keep performing and not to talk openly. And in many societies, it is still a stigma to talk about this mental health issue. How one can take that courage, how one can have that authentic feeling, is still a very key question when we talk about it. So is there any certain points, or maybe any hints we can give about that issue?
Assuming that I was the coach, and as a coach, I would respond this way. There are two outcomes that could happen by somebody challenging themselves to open up. Best case scenario, they get the help they need, or they get referred to the help they need. Worst case scenario, they have, in a rhetoric sense, vented out their emotions. They've been given an opportunity to at least spell it out, because sometimes we feel so entrapped because we don't want to even own it, what we're feeling. That ignorance is oppression. That suppression is very oppressive. And that has been my life. I'm talking through experience as a teenager. I was a very bottled, sheltered, timid, quiet little girl. This was not who I was. I had to literally reinvent myself, because I knew the person I was is not the person I wanted to become. I had no vision. I had no sense of self-value or self-worth. But I realized I had to teach myself that I'm going to have the good voice, the negative voice, and the confused voice right down the middle. And these three voices we carry around with us, even as adults. And that's okay. The idea is we have these three versions of ourselves
Right.
that we believe have some influence and hold on us. But in that moment, how do we decide to take those choices that are better for us? I think innately as women, we are so good at giving, supporting, caring as a primary need, as a primary function of being a woman, that we so forget to love ourselves first. And I was talking about this at a German panel. It was a Nordic panel, actually, I was involved with recently. And, the whole conversation was about identity around, just being a woman, identity around, inclusive diversity. What is this identity? And I was just sharing with them, hurting people hurt other people. Identity begins by loving yourself so that you stop hurting. The world clearly has a lot of hurting people. I think the more authentic we are, the more we love ourselves, and we're not hard on ourselves or each other, because we're so good at holding each other to high expectations, and we're so good at being self-critiques. The minute we can love ourselves, we love each other more, and you'll see the world being a much more lovable place.
Yeah, and when you are bringing about your global work, it is reminding me about your book. You have published your book, Women Going Global, and this is so exciting title. And kindly explain about your book, how you end up being having this such amazing title, and you have published.
Oh my goodness, absolutely excited. So it's a book actually published by Tanya, and basically I'm featured in this book where 13 women, business leaders globally representing 13 different countries were handpicked to be featured on this book. And I'm one of them. I'm so honored and grateful to Tanya for selecting me. And she has written my story, my journey in business leadership, how I got to where I am, what took me there, and, my quotes, my advice. And I have a chapter dedicated after me. And the book title is Women Going Global. And it's about cross-border business and, the wonderful work that all these women from around the world are doing.
Wow, that's wonderful.
And what we have done to initiate change. It's on Amazon, so you can go, anybody watching today, please feel free to go get the book. It's on Amazon, Women Going Global by Tanya, and you get to hear my story.
Yeah, it seems wonderful, and like the way it's like women going global, so like we can hear more over different global stories, and you are one of the among them featured in that. Your story is there, so it seems so empowering and inspiring. And when we are talking about it, your all work and all, you have done work here globally and all. So when we are talking about it, working local, national versus global, what common issues or what common pinpoint things you can bring that we are having globally?
So if you look at my work, my background, my forte, I represent global brands. I have a strong background in global brands, general management, CRM, HR, just because of how versatile my career has always been. Just today morning, I addressed a bunch of exporters through the National Chamber, and I was telling them how life, business, and career is like a game of snakes and ladders. When we're in school, we are made to believe that it's a straight line, it's a straight shoot, but it never is. Looking at the kind of businesses, I have about 10 years of coaching. I have about 5 years of C-level executive leadership experience. And all of that put together, I just started to, I've managed to raise so many different global initiatives and set up multiple businesses. And one thing I would say is that when it comes to I have different companies. One company is specialized in innovation. I'm a certified innovation coach belonging to a global accredited organization. And I have background with ICF into coaching. I'm a master coach as well. So, what I could say with that is the kind of work that I do is primarily service. Even my business is set up around empowering teams at a corporate level, at a professional level, at a transitional level to help them pivot in their career, life, or business. One common pattern I see is that people want to master themselves, personal, like self-mastery, to master a business brand is nothing more, nothing less than the extension of the entrepreneur's brand. If you're a company, the leadership has responsibility for the brand. If the leadership and the brand that is represented in the market has a disparity in terms of values, in terms of communication, in terms of what they stand for, then that disconnect is going to be felt by the consumer. So end of the day, I see whether you're doing a local business or an international business, whether you're trading, have a consistent theme, have a consistent brand identity, you have to have extreme clarity, not just clarity, extreme clarity for your vision, for your purpose, in what you want to do. Out of the vision, have your mission, have your values. A lot of the times we talk about business, we forget the value system, because the value system, Shashi, is what drives culture, at an international level, at a local level. So these are the common patterns and themes I'm so excited to work with corporates, with professionals, with entrepreneurs around the world on. It's really interesting, and something I see playing is, especially when people want to embark into global business, culture plays a huge role. How does one study and understand and reciprocate culture so that they can communicate with these different diverse people and portfolio? It's really exciting. It's exciting, but I think it takes a lot of interpersonal skills. It takes a lot of confidence, a lot of perseverance, and a lot of patience. And something that has really worked for me, I would say, is networking skills and integrity. You have to have enormous professional integrity to love what you do and to love why you're doing it. If you go out there into the global arena not loving what you do and love why you're doing it, people are going to feel that you're confused. The why is as important as the what.
That's true. That is so true. And as the way you explained, I think it's in current scenario, it's very much suited when we are talking about this pandemic in COVID-19. We are now, moreover, we are working ourselves while having the same feeling of brand, but same time having this global mindset and all. So when we are talking about this, your work and this current pandemic situation, how you see these businesses can get the same, having the same value, where they don't find mismatch, having the same branding and same norms, same values, same that all together what they are doing, their purpose is same, and they are aligning on the same parameters of their work. How they can do it? Because many times we have positives, like today we are sitting two different countries, we are able to connect, but same time when it comes to there some certain businesses, they are finding struggling and they are finding trouble in that. How they can do that?
I think the key thing would be consistency. Before the pandemic, what you represented as a brand. After the pandemic, what you represent as a brand in terms of your service delivery, your customer service, your consistency on your quality. These are the things that are measurable, and these are also the things that easily go on the wayside. So if you want to talk about retention, pivoting, growth, pay attention to the details, pay attention to discipline, pay attention to consistency, pay attention to processes. These things are so, so important. Mixed in all of this, because I also come from a background of innovation. A lot of companies with COVID, the first reaction was, oh my goodness, what is our next action? How can we make sure business is sustainable? You go through COVID, and when you come out of COVID, imagine, as human beings, Shashi, we went into COVID and we come out of COVID. Are we the same people? Are we the same person? No, COVID has impacted us. Either we are more resilient or we are more resistant. Impact always changes us, either for the worse or the better. So as is business, even in business, businesses that went into COVID, coming out of COVID, it's impacted them. Some of them were more resistant to change, and some others adapted really well. They became more resilient. So I would say pay attention to consistency, the details, pay attention to discipline in terms of how you operate. What is your modus operandi? What is the quality control on that? And then you should be fine.
I think that's beautiful, and that's very strong advice, especially those are running their businesses and they are finding struggle between having the same kind of values and branding and balancing their work. So this is very important advice. And when we are talking about,
I'd love to give an example, Shashi.
Yeah, that's what I was coming for. And
yeah.
I was coming for the same. Like when you are doing all those work, I would like to hear maybe some example from you.
Yes, absolutely. See, we're so connected. I think I intuitively, I knew Shashi wants me to, so there was a lady that joined my coaching program. I have this coaching program that I conduct. I've done it for over 20 countries so far. It's running 20 countries. So this particular coaching program, I take the person through a 3M framework: the mind, the magic, and the method. And it's something that I invented, this process, this particular framework. So there was a lady that applied to my program that I enrolled, and she's American. She's based in US, and she's actually a specialist in the supply chain sector. She's an expert. But currently, before COVID happened, because of her expertise, she gets subcontracted for large tenders. So she gets employed by companies that outsource her expertise for these big tender projects, construction projects, as a supply chain expert. But she couldn't own the project because she was still an outsourced freelancer. So when she came to me during COVID, this is how I helped her pivot. She came to me and she said, Senela, I said, okay, first thing, tell me, what is your vision? What is your main goal? What do you want to take out of this, right? And then once we identified that, I was able to help her shift her brand positioning as a woman in business in US, as a supply chain expert that was currently a freelancer, that was currently subcontracted, that was currently outsourced as a service. How could I help her develop and build her own business as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, right? So I helped her establish a business because I'm a business strategist and leadership coach. That's what I do with women around the world. That is my expertise. That's where I serve. So I helped her establish that. And she was able to make that transition. Guess what? During COVID. She was pivoting during COVID. She subscribed into a global leadership forum. She started conducting courses around leadership. She developed enormous confidence. I was guiding her through her elevator pitch because I noticed, little things, how you present yourself. You could be an expert. You could have the best hard skills and technical skills. But when it comes to presenting yourself in front of the customer, what does the customer look for? They look for the tenderness, the compassion. They look for how you communicate. Do you make eye contact? What is your body language like? So I noticed what she had was when she was presenting herself and talking about her capabilities, because I was doing a role play practice with her to guide her through that, she spoke very fast because she was so confident. She was talking so fast, explaining, and I said, slow down. Little things like that. I was coaching. I said, slow down. The customer needs to know the main points, not more than the top 3 points, what differentiate you from your competition. Let's start with that. And when you talk to me about it, I want you to say to me in moderate speed, not like catching a train. Go slow. Because I know you're enthusiastic, but you're going to lose me as your client if I can't keep up with you.
Yes.
So these little nuances go a long way. So I was coaching her through the elevator pitch. I was coaching her through what her big picture vision is, because this is something I want to tell a lot of people who want to get into business. You need to do a 10-year idea. You have to have a 10-year vision and then break it down. You can't think about, oh, COVID, what can I do today for tomorrow? It doesn't work like that. You get a lot of producers, but not a lot of people are ready to be entrepreneurs. You get a lot of people who want to trade or who are service people, but not a lot are ready for entrepreneurship. So it's really exciting. This is my specialty. This is the area I actually work with.
That's really beautifully and empowering example. Once again, like the way you explain how you transform the individual, potential into the person's having her own business, having her success and all. It is really inspiring, and I think we all need that in some certain point of time. So when we are talking about it, first of all, thank you so much for sharing it. But when we are talking all your work and all, how you see your future work.
Wow, like I said again, what I am today, the work I'm doing is very passion driven. Because for me, the way I found my purpose was by finding my passion. Isn't that interesting? That's
Yes.
quite interesting, because remember I told you I was very lost. I was like a lost soul growing up. I had identity crisis. What is my purpose? I didn't have self-value. I didn't love myself. I was so timid. I was so insecure, very vulnerable, failed relationships. So this is my past. So I had to consciously reinvent myself. So looking at my trajectory for my future, I would say continue the powerful global vision that I have, which is empower people at a corporate level, at a professional level, at a business level, and also at a community level. So right now I'm running multiple businesses, and I'm involved with so many global initiatives already. And easily I'm attached to 7 different leadership teams. So I'm already, thank you so much. But it takes a village. It takes a village, and I recognize that. And I'm so grateful and so humbled by the amazing people in my life, starting from my mother, starting from my father, starting from my sister, starting from my child. All these people who have reminded me that life is worth living, life is to be discovered, and sometimes in life, Shashi, when opportunity comes, be bold enough to take it. Be bold enough and courageous to take it. And I'm remembered of this lovely quote that said, FEAR, fear, has 2 meanings. You face everything and run, or you face everything and you rise. And that is the path that I chose. And that is a path that is less traveled. It's scary. It's absolutely scary, but it's definitely doable.
Yeah, yeah. And the way you explained about the fear, this new definition, I think that would be empowering again. So when we talk all about it, we are on this platform. We are talking about inspiring and motivating to our audience and to ourselves. So why do you feel the platform like Women Dialogue is needed?
It's so important, and I will tell you why. I'm seeing a lot of movement, a lot of traction around empowering women around the world. And I really feel that the digital phenomena has supported that, and we have been able to leverage that. Talking like this is powerful. If not, as a collective sisterhood, as a collective global community of women, we are facing similar experiences, dilemmas, and situations, but we're doing it separately. We're not together. We're doing it in different corners of the world, in different silos. And doing it together is so much harder. But the minute we have beautiful platforms, Sashi, like the one that you have right here, thank you for this opportunity. We connect, we talk about our stories, and just having the opportunity to share those stories can be life-changing. There could be one person in your platform today, Shashi, just one person who had to hear us speak today, you and me, who can feel inspired. And I really believe, even in my line of work, it's not about the volumes, it's about the depth, because the depth is sustainable. The volume is the visibility, and that's important. But the depth is where you really make that sustainable shift in society, in community.
Wow,
and that's what happens when we collect like this. It's so powerful.
That's powerful. And thank you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate the way you explain and the way you found the value of this platform. Once again, thank you so much. And before finishing our today's dialogue, any message to our audience or people who are liking or following us would like to receive from you?
Yes, absolutely. There was a quote by Oprah where she said, luck is nothing more than when opportunity meets preparation, when preparation meets opportunity. So we need to be ready. And even in my own success, I didn't have hand-me-downs. I didn't have people opening the door for me. Looking back hindsight, it was a lot of hard work. And I'm so grateful to God. I'm a very spiritual person. I pray a lot. I do a lot of prayer meditation. And, you know, what I would say is that when opportunity presents itself, it can come through the back door. It's not always in the shape and form that we expect, but when it comes, sometimes we might not be ready in that moment, but have the confidence and faith in yourself, because don't wait for other people to have the confidence in you. You have to first have confidence in yourself so that on that day, when opportunity presents itself, you will believe in yourself to take the first step.
It was so powerful once again. Thank you so much. And thank you for coming on this platform, participated, giving us time and enlightened us. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Sashi. I'm so grateful for this wonderful initiative that you have. God bless you mightily. And to all the beautiful people that you have connected globally on your platform. All the best to you. More power and strength. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks to all our viewers. If you would like to hear more women voices and part of Women Dialogues, please connect with us. Please share, subscribe, like, and thank you. See you in the next episode. And don't forget to check the Snela's work, and her details are available in the description as well. Till then, take care. See you in the next time. Bye-bye.